Hi, I'm Jen,
And I'm Sophia.
and you're listening to Every Rom Com, the podcast where we have fun taking romantic comedies seriously.
This week on Every Rom Com, we're making the Yuletide gay with a look at Netflix's first Christmas rom com featuring a gay couple.
We'll talk about the movie's star-studded cast, including Michael Urie, Jennifer Coolidge, Kathy Najimy, and promising newcomer Philemon Chambers.
And we'll discuss Christmas rom com tropes as we talk about one of this month's most popular new releases, Single All the Way.
Hey, Sophia.
Hi, Jen.
Welcome to your first of the Christmas rom-com series, love.
Yeah. Thank you.
We're on the third episode now, and on the other two episodes, we've been talking about what are your favorite Christmas movies, and I've already kind of told mine, but I kind of wanted to find out what are your Christmas movies, or what are you going to watch this year, maybe that you're excited about?
Gosh, long-standing favorite Christmas is White Christmas. Just love all that singing and dancing. And it's, I think, a sweet story as well. And so that one's a long-time favorite. What am I going to watch this year? I might rewatch one that I'm going to recommend later because I watched it a few years ago and then I'm ready to rewatch it again.
What is it?
Oh, The Spirit of Christmas. It's
okay.
I do enjoy my holiday, rom-com, but one, I couldn't sit down and watch a marathon of these films.
Oh my gosh, I've watched so many between last year and this year, preparing for the podcast. I've watched so many, so we'll talk about that later. But yeah,
that's funny.
How about your daughter? Is there any Christmas thing that you like to watch with her?
So we've been watching the Christmas Chronicles. I've enjoyed both of them. What else? I really am fascinated that she likes what is that? The claymation Rudolph.
Oh yeah, I like that too. I'm a big fan of that.
I was never a big fan of the Jack Frost or the that one,
Frosty the Snowman.
Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah.
Thought they were weird. She likes it, so I'm rock and roll.
I love
Charlie
those.
Brown Christmas is a favorite.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we're doing White Christmas next week. Actually, we're talking about that, but I think you're at work while we're doing that one. So, but we'll be putting that one out. And as to me, I'm going to be watching Rudolph because I just got that on hold at the library.
Nice.
And I don't think my husband's is into it either, but I just love the Island of Misfit Toys and the Abominable Snowman and all of that. I love that. And then also we just rented Krampus from the library too. We're going to get that. And that's a holiday horror movie, and it's got Adam Scott, and I think Toni Collette is in that too, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Okay.
It looks really intriguing. I like holiday horror movies too, like Black Christmas and that kind of thing as well. So, yeah.
Sorry, I never would have thought of that. And of course, there's got to be holiday horror films, but I'm like, wow, I've
Christmas
not
horror
at all tapped into that genre.
I don't know if it would be for you or not. I don't know, but it's fun. I think it's fun. And what are some of your favorite Christmas activities or traditions that you're going to be doing upcoming?
Oh, growing up, my family that there really wasn't much of a tradition. We just didn't. There was the presents and maybe a nice dinner or whatever. But my husband's side of the family, okay, I'll tell you what I've watched every year for the past 16 years. George C. Scott's Christmas Carol. We watched that
one, huh?
That one, yes. I think we've tried once or twice to a different version, and we can't handle it. We watched the Picard one. I mean,
Yeah, I'm either
Yeah.
Alistair Sims or I'm Muppets Christmas Carol, but I've never even watched the George C. Scott one. So,
oh man, it's for fun now, and
yeah,
now that my father-in-law's passed and the childhood house has been sold, we're gonna have Christmas at my house this year. And I asked my husband, I'm like, what of those traditions? Like, they did a whole thing and just so much fun. He's like, we're keeping the movie. I'm like, all right, we're gonna keep the movie. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because every year I'm like, again, and he's like,
Yeah.
yes, we're watching it again. So
yeah, my family watched my dad's parents. We would go to his house and we would watch like the Christmas Story. I can't remember if it's called A Christmas Story or The Christmas Story.
I love The Christmas Story.
With
yes.
Ralphie and the You'll Shoot Your Eye Out and all that. And like, I didn't watch it for a number of years, but I think this year I need to watch it again just because it's the thing we used to do. So yeah. All right. Well, I think we're ready to get into the movie. But before we get started with today's episode, just a reminder. So as usual, we're going to have a spoiler-free section at the beginning of the episode, and we will let you know when the spoiler section begins.
We'd also like to remind you that you can follow the podcast on social media. Our Facebook page is Every Rom Com podcast and blog. Our Instagram is at Every Rom Com, and our Twitter handle is Every Rom Com Pod.
And as always, you can find the podcast at everyromcom.com. Send us feedback at feedback@everyromcom.com. And if you like what you hear, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. And now we're going to listen to a little bit of the trailer. Actually, I think we're going to listen to the whole trailer for Single All the Way.
Christmas is a big deal for my family. And every year I have this problem they all have to solve. Because I'm always the single one. I think you should come home with me. We can pretend we fell in love after all these years. It'll be so easy. My family already asked why we're not just together.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, Slay Queen Carol?
You have to call her Christmas Carol.
How did I not know your mom had a holiday-specific drag name?
You get a parrot, you get a parrot, who am I?
Oprah.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, of course you guys do that. Your family really wants you to have a relationship.
Yes, I know. That's very clear.
So my early Christmas present for you is a blind date.
I love it.
He loves it.
You're going.
You're going.
Where you go?
He's going on a blind date. Like from Grindr?
Oh, my God.
We talk on pillows and snowy white.
I was thinking we could grab a cup of coffee.
You probably thought you were going on a date with the hottest, smartest, funniest, coolest, most interesting person who was ever born.
Maybe I am.
My date with James went well.
Oh, I'm so happy. That is so great.
I always thought that you and Peter should be together.
Well, I'm his best friend.
Well, my wife is my best friend in the whole world.
Get dressed and get cute.
Such a pusher.
Don that gay apparel.
Shut up.
People who look at each other like that are not just friends.
Nick and Peter want to make out. They should make out.
Oh, that's good.
Nick is a 10, and Peter is a 10 in New Hampshire. These stars came with the trees. I love them.
I do too.
The girls are in my bed. Of course they are.
You have feelings for him.
If Nick and I ever went there and didn't work out, I would lose him.
But what if it did work out?
The gays just know how to do stuff. For some reason, they're always obsessed with me.
It was really hard not to laugh at the Jennifer Coolidge parts. Like, I'm not even a huge fan of hers, but like in this movie, like just the more I watch this movie, and I've watched it like 3 or 4 times now, she gets funnier every time.
She's hilarious. Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's a very effective trailer. Like, it really made me want to see the movie personally. I don't know. Like, did you watch the trailer before the movie or?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that looks cute. And Jennifer Coolidge made me want to watch it.
Yeah, like the cast is really good too, and we'll get into talking about them in just a little bit here. But I think a trailer does like a fairly good job of explaining the movie, although I think the fake dating angle that you think you're going to get is like way less emphasized than in the movie. Yeah.
It is. Mm-hmm.
So some basic information about Single All the Way. So it just came out December 2nd, 2021 on Netflix. And it's directed by Michael Mayer. written by Chad Hodge, and starring Michael Urie, Philemon Chambers, Jennifer Coolidge, and Kathy Najimy.
And the basic premise is about, eternally single Peter is excited to take a boyfriend home for Christmas, only to find out that this boyfriend is married to a woman. And feeling dejected, he asks his best friend and roommate Nick to come home with him for Christmas and pretend to be his boyfriend. Nick comes home with Peter, but before they can start the dating ruse, they find out that Peter's mom has set him up on a blind date with an instructor from her gym. And Peter goes on the date with hot instructor, but other members of Peter's family begin to conspire to set him up with Nick instead.
Yeah. So some interesting facts about the movie. Many of the cast and crew on this movie, including the 2 lead actors, the other potential male love interest, and the writer and director, are gay men. So it kind of brought a level of representation and authenticity to the project that I think was really appreciated. The movie was filmed in Montreal, and this is Netflix's first gay Christmas rom-com. Although I will put in that the rom-com, the ensemble rom-com Let It Snow, did have a love story with 2 girls, like in the ensemble cast. But this is the first one just focusing on a gay couple.
Okay.
And then I don't have a ton of facts about this movie in particular, but I did kind of do some research on gay Christmas rom-coms in general. Netflix is really pushing this movie as if it's like the first, like, to do this, and it's not. Although I will say that Netflix is a very high profile platform, so it is really kind of groundbreaking to have this one out. But there have been some other gay and lesbian Christmas rom-coms in recent years. So I found an article particularly that told about a number of them, which I'll put in the show notes. So first of all, in 2019, there was Season of Love, which according to Paste magazine is, quote, regarded as the lesbian Love Actually, end quote. And I totally want to see that now. Like, anything that's billed as that sounds interesting. And they also recommended from 2019 also City of Trees, which is an indie film with a lesbian couple at Christmas. And then in 2020, Hallmark released The Christmas House, which I tried to watch, but like there were so many people in line for a hold on that at the library, it was ridiculous. So I guess people must have liked it, or at least be curious about it. And that's has a gay love story in it. And then Lifetime also released last year The Christmas Setup, which I was able to see. I was able to rent it for 99 cents on Prime. And that was also a gay love story and kind of cute. I'll talk about that more later. And then last year, Hulu released Happiest Season with a lesbian couple, including Kristen Stewart. And that's probably the most high-profile gay or lesbian rom-com that was released up to this point. And then also in 2020, there was Dashing in December, which is a gay Christmas rom-com set at a ranch. And I'm like, that sounds like it hits a lot of tropes right there.
Yeah, definitely.
The Christmas ranch rom-com, man. I got to see that. Also this year in 2021, Lifetime is releasing its first lesbian holiday rom-com, which is Under the Christmas Tree. And again, they did the Christmas setup last year. And there's also a movie called Christmas at the Ranch with a lesbian couple being released this year. So yeah, we're getting more of these and we're getting them kind of like all coming out. Like this is like the new thing, which is good because I mean, it's about time really.
Right.
Have you seen any of that like list that I've seen or any additional ones that I missed on my list?
I saw Happy Season last year and I enjoyed that.
Cool.
Amazing cast.
Yeah, another really high profile and good cast. Yeah, which is something that shares in common with this movie for sure. Yep. So, but unlike Happiest Season, which had a fair amount of kind of angst and like a coming out angle to it, like this movie is kind of angst-free and it's kind of existing in this kind of world that's free of homophobia where the family is very accepting of the gay son. And so like that was something that the cast is bringing up a lot in interviews. Michael Urie did an interview with Pink News in particular that I'm going to quote from here. So he said it was really important to him to have an angst-free movie. He said, quote, "We're going to be sharing a story about Christmas, about 2 gay men, and about a family in a town that are not homophobic, where there is no shame around being gay. It tells a story that isn't about coming out of the closet or any kind of trauma. It's just a guy who has been single and his family wants him to be coupled. That is so universal. There are already many holiday films about that, and now we have one about gay people that is hilarious and sweet and charming." And then he also added, quote, Maybe somebody's family will watch this movie and see what Christmas can be like without any homophobia, without any worrying about what somebody thinks, where affection is universal, and where someone like a character like Nick could get advice about love from someone like Barry Bostwick, an old white straight man. That is a beautiful thing, and that is something I'm very excited we're going to put out in the world because it's something we haven't seen yet. End quote. And like, I think, when I watched Happiest Season, I really appreciated like the high production values and the cast, as you say. Yeah. And I thought it was a well-told story in some ways, but like it wasn't like a purely feel-good film either.
Right.
Like without spoiling it. Like, yeah. It's it wasn't a situation where the family was totally accepting. So yeah. I think this kind of film, Single All the Way, is probably more the kind of film you want to sit around and drink a cup of hot chocolate with your family.
Right. Yeah. I think that was probably an element in Happiest Season where I was like, I hate to call that a trope, but it felt like it was a bummer. Actually, that part was a bummer.
Yeah.
This very funny film, and yes, everything you said, the great cast and the production value and all that went with that angle, but it was also really lovely too.
Yeah, and the cast, like, if Single All the Way isn't saying, like, oh, that those films shouldn't exist, too. Like, there's definitely respect for, like, different stories of coming out or dealing with homophobia. But it's just, like, it's nice to also have these feel-good films, I guess. And they're not strictly correct that this is the first we've seen because, like, the other ones I mentioned earlier, the Lifetime and Hallmark and etc., some of those were also happy and accepting stories. But, yeah, Netflix is a much bigger platform. And I hadn't heard of any of those pictures until I specifically went researching on it. So I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Urie wasn't familiar with them either. So then I guess we'll introduce the cast and crew of this film. There are so many cool people who made this movie. We're already telling about a lot of them. I wish we could tell all of them, but we just don't have the time. So
yeah. But we will talk about the director, Michael Mayer. His first IMDb credit is Sideman from 1999. And the most well-known credit he has in the rom-com world other than this movie is as an executive producer on 27 Dresses from 2008. Other films he's directed include At Home at the End of the World, Flicka, and The Seagull. He's more prominent in the theater world. He won a Tony in 2007 for Spring Awakening. And other work on Broadway shows include Thoroughly Modern Millie, The Line in Winter, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and the first Broadway production of Hedwig and the Angry Inch. He also co-wrote the book and directed American Idiot based on the Green Day album. And he's also directed opera.
All right, so I'm going to talk about then the screenwriter, Chad Hodge. And his first IMDb credit is for writing for the TV series University Place in 1998. I was able to see some of his early work, so I went and hunted down 2004's TV movie I Want to Marry Ryan Banks. It's also sometimes listed as The Reality of Love. And I actually really recommend this movie. It's well written, and it's an early appearance by Bradley Cooper. It was written for like TV. Yeah, but it's really well done. So Chad Hodge also wrote and served as a creator on the TV series The Playboy Club, Wayward Pines, and Good Behavior. In 2016, he co-wrote the book for the Broadway adaptation of Irving Berlin's Holiday Inn. And in 2018, he wrote the script for The Darkest Minds. And Chad Hodge became near and dear to my heart when he said that When Harry Met Sally is one of his favorite movies, and he called it, quote, the ultimate rom-com, end quote. So, yeah, if anyone else who agrees with me that that's the ultimate rom-com, automatically I feel like, yeah, you get me, Chad Hodge. We understand each other. So, so Chad Hodge came from like a very supportive family. And so when he set out to write this rom-com, he wanted to write a gay rom-com which reflected his experience, like experience of people who came from an accepting family. He wanted to write a happy rom-com without a lot of angst relating to being gay. Like he wanted that not to be a factor, but he also wanted to make it kind of more of a specifically gay movie where like you couldn't just like swap in a straight couple and have it be the same movie. So he just wanted to put in little bits of gay culture into the movie. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think it worked. Yeah. And right now, he's in pre-production on a film called Anita, which he's writing and directing. And that's going to be about the anti-gay activist Anita Bryant. So that should be interesting. And I look forward to seeing what else Chad Hodge does in the future, because I think the script is one of the strongest aspects of the film.
Okay. And then Michael Urie plays Peter. He's our protagonist. He's most well known for playing Mark St. James on Ugly Betty for 2006 to 2010, and a spin-off called Mode After Hours. Other works include The Decoy Bride, the TV show Younger from 2016 to 2021, and a movie called Swan Song from this year, 2021, with Jennifer Coolidge. He also directed He's Way More Famous Than You, which he also appears in, and his two projects in post-production, Jersey Boys Live and Summoning Sylvia.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce Philemon Chambers, and he is basically a newcomer. This is his feature debut, and his only other IMDb credit is for the short of Hearts and Castles. But I'm going to add this. Articles that I've read or interviews I've read have said that he has also made small appearances on TV shows. So I don't know like why they're not on IMDb. Maybe they're such minor appearances that they don't get put there. Not sure how that works. But anyway, he's basically just a newcomer, first role, like entering into the world of Hollywood, which is pretty exciting, really.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I thought he performed very well in the movie, and I'm sure he's going to get a ton of work after this, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
And so this movie was very meaningful to him. I'm going to put in the show notes an interview he did with GLAAD. And in the interview, he said, quote, "I actually am now what I needed when I was younger. If I would have had these types of stories growing up, especially from a Black queer standpoint, I would have accepted myself a long time ago." End quote. Yeah, and then he went on in that interview, and he's talked about this in many interviews, about how this movie, doing this show, actually like helped him to be more accepting of himself. Like he had suppressed being gay for a long time growing up. And so like this movie was like even just another level of acceptance for him doing this movie. So I thought that was really great. And yeah, very moving.
We're going to move on to one of my faves, Kathy Najimy, who plays Peter's mom. Her name is Carol, but she likes to go by Christmas Carol during the holiday season. She's cute. She's best known for the 90s films Sister Act and Sister Act 2 and Hocus Pocus. She's the voice of Peggy Hill on King of the Hill. She has appeared in several other gay-themed films, Bear City 2, The Proposal, Bear City 3, and Dating My Mother. And she's appeared in several other Christmas TV shows, including A Christmas Melody with Mariah Carey. She recently worked on TV shows Veep and Younger, and currently filming Hocus Pocus 2 with her original co-stars Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker.
So another interesting actress in this movie, who's I think one of the big selling points really, is Jennifer Coolidge, plays Aunt Sandy. And the role in this film was actually written for her. Like it appeared, like Jennifer Coolidge's name appeared in the script, basically. And Chad Hodge said he would have rewritten the character if Jennifer Coolidge hadn't agreed to do the film. Like that's how much he wanted her and envisioned her. So her first IMDb credit was for an episode of Seinfeld in 1993. And now I have to go back and find her in Seinfeld. I feel like. Her first breakout role was as Stifler's mom in 1999's American Pie, and then she appeared in several of the sequels in that series. Then in 2000, she appeared in her first Christopher Guest movie, which was Best in Show, and then she went on to appear in several of his other films, including A Mighty Wind, For Your Consideration, and Mascots. And also in 2000, she appeared in the gay rom-com The Broken Hearts Club. So both her and Najimy have like worked in gay-themed films before, which is pretty cool. And then in 2001, she had her other big breakout role, which is Paulette of Bend and Snap fame in Legally Blonde. And she also appeared in the sequel to that. Do you like the Bend and Snap scene?
No.
No?
No.
I think it's pretty fun, but yeah. Other things she's appeared in include A Cinderella Story in 2004, The Secret Life of the American Teenager from 2008 to 2012, Two Broke Girls from 2012 to 2017, Austenland in 2013. I think you're a fan of that, right?
Yep.
And then she was in this year's HBO series, The White Lotus. She did some really fantastic work on that show. So, yeah, it's been a good year for her. Right now, she has a few projects in post-production. Shotgun Wedding, We Have a Ghost. We Have a Ghost was written and directed by Happy Death Day director Christopher Landon. We've talked about that project this recently on the podcast. And she's filming a TV show called The Watcher. And most excitingly, she is in pre-production on Legally Blonde 3. So, yeah. I look forward to seeing what goes on there.
Oh, she's so funny.
Yeah.
She's hilarious.
And then some other main cast members. Luke McFarlane plays James, the guy that Peter is set up with. Barry Bostwick plays Peter's father. And Jennifer Robertson, who's apparently on Schitt's Creek, plays one of Peter's sisters. So, yeah, there's a deep talent in this film.
Yeah, I just have to say, Luke McFarlane, he's Mr. Hallmark. He's got like...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, on his IMDb, check out the list of Hallmark films. He's the hottie love interest in all of them.
Well, nice.
So, yeah.
Very good. Good spotting, Sophia. Now we're going to talk about, like, basically, what did we think of the movie? So first of all, like, I want to know, what did you think of the movie, your expectations versus then seeing the movie?
Okay. Yeah. It looked cute, was my expectation from the trailer. You know, gosh, they're also tropey, but I was like, I think I can handle this one. I love a friends to lovers story, which I feel like does tie in with be my pretend boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. That, so I think those kind of go together.
Yeah.
And I love Kathy Najimy and Jennifer Coolidge. So I was like, woohoo. And Jennifer Robertson from Schitt's Creek. So I was like, yeah, that's going to be a fun time. And it was a fun time. How about you? What did you think? What was your expectation?
Like, I was like very like primed to just like love the hell out of this movie. And I like this movie. So I think like my expectations were like very high, and then it didn't completely live up to them. So I've got a whole bunch of pros that I like about the movie. So it has really clever writing. There's good jokes and a good structure, I think, for the most part. I love the realistic family dynamic in the movie. Really interesting and well-developed side characters. It brings in a lot of the Christmas rom com tropes, but I like that it's like not like overly cliche. Like it plays with some of the tropes, which we can talk about later in the podcast. And it's also not too cynical. Like some Netflix rom-coms get a little too cynical. And it also, I thought this was great. I just noticed this the last time I watched through. It passes the Bechdel test, even though it's about romance between men. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it's always passing the Bechdel test. Women are always talking to each other, and it's not always about the men in the movie either. So I love that. And even though it's also directed and written by men, it still passes the Bechdel test. So yay. But the con for me, and it's a big con, is that I did not feel the chemistry between the couple that I'm supposed to be rooting for, which is Peter and Nick. And that made me sad.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it made me sad. I wanted to root for them like all the way and like feel angst and longing and like that rom-com feeling, right?
Yeah.
And instead, like I thought it was funny. I thought it was sweet. But I just didn't feel that ping.
I know. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So I am a little sad about that as well.
And like later, I think we'll talk about this when we get more in the spoiler section. I'll talk about what I think could have been done differently potentially to make that happen. So yeah. And I think you had some ideas too.
Maybe. Yeah.
So I do want to say though that I've watched a lot of Netflix Christmas rom-coms, and this does rate much higher than almost all of them. Okay. Like, if you'll indulge me for a moment, I'm going to go over the Netflix Christmas rom-coms I have seen and tell you my ratings for them. Okay.
Do it. Yeah.
All right. So first of all, I'm going to tell you the ones that were the worst. And these are ones that like I kind of feel like I wasted hours of my life on. So worst ones with a rating of 1 on a scale of 1 to 5 are Operation Christmas Drop, Midnight at the Magnolia, which might be the worst of them all. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And The Holiday Calendar, which was another Friends story where there was also no chemistry, but also that movie was absurd, made no sense, and had no clever humor in it.
Okay.
Okay. And then at 1.5, we have Holiday. And a lot of people like Holiday, but I hated Holiday. And I think it was just because it was like too raunchy and cynical and like not sweet enough. Okay. So 1.5 on that. Then I have the bearable ones that like, you know, they were okay. I don't feel like I wasted my life, but they weren't my jam, which are at rated 2, Love Hard, and which just came out this year also. And then at 2.5, The Princess Switch. I have not seen the sequels to The Princess Switch. There's 2 of them. It was okay. It was cute, but like not my thing. And then there's like some okay but forgettable ones, like at 3, Let It Snow, Holiday in the Wild, and The Night, spelled with a K, Before Christmas.
Okay.
That one's pretty funny, actually. The concept of The Night Before Christmas is funny because, like, literally there's like this knight that shows up from like medieval times or some shit.
Oh,
and like,
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's almost worth watching just for that, to be honest. But like, yeah, it's kind of forgettable too. And then in the coveted good rewatchable category of a 4 ranking, we have Single All the Way, this movie we're talking about now, and A Castle for Christmas that just came out this year with Brooke Shields and Carrie Elwes. So,
okay.
Yeah. I think Single All the Way is more clever, better written, and like the side characters are all like very good. But A Castle for Christmas, I felt the chemistry more. So
okay,
it has, yeah. So there you go. That's my Netflix assessment. For nobody was asking for it, but you got it anyway.
I think that's important, and I think that people will appreciate it. I think it's fantastic.
Have you seen like many of these, or like you say you trying to limit your viewing of this type of thing?
You know, I think I have Midnight at the Magnolia on my queue. It's like, okay, maybe I'll get around to that, but now forget it.
I don't think you would like it either. It was one of the most clumsily written things I've ever seen in my life. I'm just like,
and no. Holiday is also on my queue. I know you've expressed that you don't like it, but maybe I'll give it a try. But I probably never will. But
you might like it. They have some chemistry, but it's like the humor is really raunchy and kind of I don't know. It doesn't feel very Christmassy to me, even though it's always Anyway, it's a whole thing. I think of the ones I rated low, I think the one you're most likely to enjoy would be Love Hard. And Sybil also really liked Love Hard, and that just came out this year. I don't even
know what that one's about.
Okay, so that one has Jimmy O Yang is in it, and he is kind of catfishing this girl. And then she comes and surprises him to visit his family at Christmas and realizes that like, oh, he doesn't look anything like the picture he sent, but he knows the guy whose picture it is. And so he agrees to try to set her up with that guy if she'll hang out, at his house and pretend to be his girlfriend and stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Sybil liked it. So,
okay. I've seen Holiday in the Wild, and that's actually one of my recommendations for later on.
Yeah, I like that okay, but I kind of forgot it already.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah, I think you'd like A Castle for Christmas, though.
Cool.
Yeah. I think you would dig it. So I recommend that one, even if Carrie Elwes with a Scottish accent is kind of weird.
Oh, oh man, I'll watch it just for that, just to get a laugh.
Anyway. All right, so we're ready to get into kind of our movie here, Single All the Way. And as we go through, there's a lot of Christmas rom-com tropes, and so we're going to try to call them out as we run into them. And I'll make a note that I got a picture of this Hallmark Christmas rom-com bingo sheet, and I tried to like get a bingo. I was not able to get a bingo, unfortunately. I was short a few things, like there was no fireplace, and like there was some other thing Christmas card. There was no Christmas card. I narrowly missed a couple bingos, but there were a lot still that this fulfilled.
I want that.
Yeah.
Why don't I have that in my life?
You can order it from Hallmark, or what I did was I just took a screenshot of it.
Nice.
Or you could just make one, really. I mean, like, we know the tropes, but yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
But I won't make one. I'm lazy. I'll do screenshot too.
Okay, so as we open the movie, we run directly into a trope, which was not on the bingo card, but we see men wearing sexy Santa outfits. I would call a Santa outfit a trope, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Of a Christmas rom-com, yeah. 'Cause there's always, yeah. And but this one is like sexy male Santas with shaving cream on their face, and they're in an ad. And like Peter is somehow like overseeing them in some way. He's not the photographer.
Right.
Is he what do you think he is? Is he the producer of this our ad? Is he the director? Is he just an assistant? He has a boss that's telling him what to do. What do you think?
So, right. I don't know. I don't know what that job is. Like there's some non-artistic director. I don't know. Yeah. Not quite explained what that job is.
Yeah, anyway, like this is the opening scene. You just kind of get a sense of that he has some kind of job that involves like managing photo shoots, basically,
And he's not
like
very enthusiastic about it. Like he's just kind of sitting there. So we know he doesn't like his job very much.
Yeah. But then he goes home and we see what he really loves.
His plants.
Yeah.
I have to say I really enjoyed that part, actually.
I did too. Yeah.
He's talking to his plants, Linda.
Yeah.
The other one.
I don't remember. Judith. He named the plants. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that too. That was like a really nicely seeded in character trait, I thought. Yeah. And so what we also know about Peter is that he hasn't had long-term relationships, really. He's all excited because he's been with his current boyfriend for 3 months and 22 days, which he tells a guy at the photo shoot. And the guy at the photo shoot kind of rolls his eyes like, oh, your longest relationship. You're like, aren't you? So, yeah. But he does have a roommate and best friend, Nick, Philemon Chambers' character. And they have known each other for 9 years, apparently. Yeah. And Nick has a dog named Emmett, too. That's another important thing.
Sweet Emmett. I like the FaceTiming part with the parents. That was cute. That's how you meet them.
Oh yeah, that is like that's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
I like even how he answers the phone and like his dad's like, Peter, and he's like, yes, you saw my name pop up and you're looking at me right now.
I know. I love that. That was great.
I am totally the dad. I still do that too. Like I answer the phone and I still like, I don't know. And I sometimes sign my name when I write messages to people on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the whole like the conversation they have too, like where he's trying to figure out what to get his family, and his dad's like, you should get your mom wine glasses because she broke them, and he's like, how? And Barry Bostwick just pauses just long enough, and he said, wine.
Yep. And then your dad a dumpster.
Yeah,
that was
because
great.
the mom's afraid he's become a hoarder, which is not evidenced in the movie, by the way. That was missing. I wanted to see that hoard when he went home, but yeah. But yeah.
I also like that. I mean, my mom's always saying that about my dad. Your father's shit is everywhere. I don't have any things, but it's your father's. It's so funny. They'll never hear it, so that's okay. But yeah, I just always complaining about dad having too much stuff. Funny.
Yeah, these are very realistic parent characters and relationships.
Yep.
So then we see a plaid party, I guess. They go to this, all the people from the photo shoot go to this plaid party. And I guess this is a trope because it was on the Hallmark bingo board. Plaid was on the bingo board and party was on the bingo board. So we covered 2 in 1 here. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't sound fun to me, but I guess they also drink cocktails at the plaid party.
Okay.
And at the plaid party, you see Nick and Peter just kind of talking to some of their gay friends, and then they're talking about Peter's boyfriend, like, oh, where is he? And then we have one of those like slow-mo entrances where like the hot guy comes in,
Yeah.
Did you notice that they did a slow-mo?
Yes, but I completely forgot about it. So
I'm very attuned to the slow-mo. Yeah,
okay.
I'm very attuned to that when they break that out in a rom-com. So remember this for later because we're going to talk about that later, the slow-mo. So just more about Nick. Nick is a black man, which like makes this not only a gay rom-com, but like also an interracial love story, which is pretty cool. He works as a task rabbit. And we also know that he has, though, written a children's book called Saving Emmett. So he actually has a lot of money. He doesn't probably need to be a TaskRabbit, I guess, although maybe he's just saving that money. And so he's a responsible person. While Nick is at a job then, like hanging up these Christmas lights for someone as a TaskRabbit, which I guess hanging lights is also a trope, according to Hallmark. So
I can see that.
yeah. So while he's at this job, there's a woman who's talking to him and telling him this story about how the last guy who usually did their lights died falling off a roof, breaking his neck while he was hanging lights.
That was funny. Yeah.
That did crack me up because she's so like unconcerned about it. And meanwhile, he's on this really tall roof doing the same thing. And like, I thought that was one of the places where they really poked into the tropes. Like this really cute, adorable thing is also kind of dangerous.
Right. Yeah.
And, and then like the real kicker of this scene is when her husband drives up. And as soon as like another character came in to be involved in this scene, I was like, oh, that's going to be the boyfriend. Did that set you off too? Were you like,
I didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know it. Yeah.
I was like, why else are we involving a husband in this scene? Like, she's like, oh, there's my husband. And then you see the guy get out of the car and then you see Nick registering, oh, that's Peter's new boyfriend. Oh, shit.
Yep.
And
so sad.
Yeah. Nick has to go home and tell Peter the bad news. And Peter sort of despairs of finding love. And he says, I'll be a gunkle and a plant lady forever.
I loved it. That was funny. Yep.
I understood what a gunkle was immediately, but I don't think I've ever used that word or heard it used in my real life. Have you heard that word used in your real life before?
No, but they used it a couple times in the film.
I even have a gunkle, but
yeah,
but I don't call him my gunkle. I don't know. He's never referred to himself as that. Maybe that's a hip new thing the kids are doing.
Yeah, I was going to say different times, Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
So after, Nick tells Peter he saw his boyfriend with his wife, Peter asks Nick to go home with him for Christmas as his fake date, his fake boyfriend. And Nick is like, he points out, it's actually pretty expensive to get a ticket right now, the date, which I thought was interesting.
I love that because they never, like, this always happens in these movies, okay? Like, always in these movies, there's these last minute trips and, like, everyone's just affording it somehow. And I'm like, seriously? Like, that would be, like, thousands of dollars probably, right? So I like that finally a movie called this out. This is, like, what I would put in a script probably.
Yeah.
Like,
it's too damn expensive. Yes, totally true. But then this is the way they can explain that, Peter tells Nick, you have all that money from your book that you wrote about his dog Emmett, and it's called Saving Emmett. It's a children's book, a best-selling children's book about his dog, which is really sweet.
And kind of believable. I think that's like the kind of book that would be a bestseller. Like kids love books about dogs.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, especially if there's like a sweet message. Oh yeah, that'd be on our shelf.
But it's like kind of sad then because then Emmett has to go to the dog hotel. Like Nick was going to have this like staycation and hang out with Emmett. And I was like all jazzed for him. And then it's like, oh, you're sending Emmett to the dog hotel. I mean, but people do this all the time, I guess. But
I don't know. Is it a spoiler to say this is where we also learn that Nick has lost what seems to be his only family, his mom.
Yeah. That's not a spoiler. Yeah. We don't really hear much about it, but there's this like little, this little aside that his mom is out of the picture, probably dead. Yeah.
Yeah. I think she passed away. And then, but then like, there's nobody else to hang out with. There's no other family to go to. So that I think is, probably a special thing for Nick to have Peter's huge family and all that and be a part of a family. I think he says that later on, doesn't he?
I don't remember.
Is that spoiling again? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah.
All right. Oh, also another kind of thing that happens in films like these, that this vacation is going to be 10 days long.
Yeah.
Who has that vacation time? It's true.
Yeah. Dude,
who can afford the ticket and who can take all those days off?
I mean, I guess if you're a TaskRabbit, you could, but I don't know about Peter. Yeah, like Peter himself, I don't see how he's getting that much vacation time. And like I was watching this other Christmas rom com, gay themed Christmas rom com, and they had 2 weeks in that one. 2 weeks
Wow.
vacation. I'm like,
Wow.
seriously? In this economy?
I
Anyway.
think I've always had pretty good vacation, or I
Oh,
just took
really?
days. Yeah.
Oh, lucky you. Very good.
Yeah, that's credit to bosses who are really nice. Because I came home for years. I was flying home for Christmas. So it was our only vacation, really. And we
Yeah.
would take about a week.
Okay.
Plus, we were
Okay.
able to like work in weekends, and
Yeah. I mean, I've
so
worked jobs though where like I had to work on Christmas, so let alone having like, like
wow.
all these days off. So, I mean, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
but that's
Oh.
very this type of movie.
Yep.
And really, how else are you going to develop a story if you don't have enough time, really? So,
Yeah.
I don't know. So, I was really excited for the fake dating trope idea, but like the trope ends up evaporating pretty quickly. We'll get to that in just a moment. Were you disappointed that they didn't go through with the fake dating business?
Um. Well, I think I said earlier that I feel like the friends to lovers and fake dating kind of go together. But I guess what I guess I see what you're saying, because there could have been all these like, how do they hide it? That they're really not together and like keep up the ruse, and there
There's
could have
opportunities for closeness or like for being forced into situations with each
right,
other where it would be more
right,
intimate. So I think like that's really naturally lends itself to a friends to lovers, and that's why they go together so often,
right,
And
right,
then
right, right.
when you lose that right away, you're actually putting a roadblock in the way of the couple getting together in a sense. So they end up, they arrive in Bridgewater, New Hampshire, which I guess is a real place. I didn't bother to research it this time, but it's a real place. And Peter's mom is waiting for them. This is in the trailer. She's got a name that she gets called Christmas Carol, and she makes these handmade signs. That's like her character trait. She's always making these handmade wooden signs, and this one has on it "Sleigh Queen," but spelled like a Christmas sleigh.
Oh, funny. Oh,
And
that's funny.
yeah, and she kind of greets them, and then she gives them these like reindeer headbands, and she does like this Oprah impression, like, which is also in the trailer. I like her whole intro to the movie. She's just very dynamic and funny, and like kind of a little cheesy, but like in a good way.
Yep. I liked it.
And then I also like the dynamic with the dad. Like the dad wants to like fix this pipe, and he wants to get like Nick to do it. But like the mom, like they have this whole thing where the mom hadn't wanted him to ask him because he's a guest and everything. And it's like this whole like weird dynamic between parents. That's like, I can't explain it well enough. Just watch the movie. It's funny.
It's cute. It'll ring true, I think, for everybody. There are a lot of people. Yep. And then let's see, the mom tells Peter about the setup. She's like, this is my early Christmas gift to you. I'm going to set you up with my trainer from the gym. And then this was really funny because she kept messing it up. But she's reading a book called Loving Your LGBT Child. Like she's well-meaning, Yeah. And she loves her son, and she's going to set him up in the whole deal. And it's not like trying to. It was funny. It was just funny.
Yeah, like that book comes in because like so Peter tells his mom that like just why are you trying to set me up with this random gay guy, like because not every two gay men are going to be a good setup. And she's like, well, I know, I read that book, and like the Loving Your LGBT Child, like you said, and like which like you said, she keeps messing that phrase up the entire movie, which is hilarious. But yeah, like then he's like wants to find a picture of the guy, or he wants to see a picture of the guy, and she's like, oh, how do I get into Facebook again? She's just the funniest, most clueless mom. She's pretty adorable, I thought.
Yep.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, Nick, and this is my favorite part though, another well-meaning parent who's at the same time screwing things up. Nick and Peter are downstairs like with the pipe, and the dad says to Nick, like, you don't often see a gay handyman. Like, how did you learn to do this? And he's like, oh, YouTube, HDTV. And then these are like quotes from the movie. He says, what, like about HGTV, he says, what is that? The homosexual gay network? And he's serious. He's not making a joke. He's serious. And Nick goes, basically, And he says, "Oh, I'll check it out. HGTV. It's not porn, is it?" And then Nick says, "Kind of."
It was cute. That was
It
really
was
funny.
so cute.
Yep.
I love that scene. And I love that like there's a movie that's like, okay, like this, like, so I've on a past episode I talked about how I like something like Alex Strangelove more than Love, Simon, because Alex Strangelove showed kind of a realistic portrayal of being a gay teen in school, like where not everybody's like perfectly saying the perfect thing. And in that movie there is a little more like there are some negative things too, but like Love, Simon was like so cleansed of anything like negative that it was unrealistic. Like it didn't even have people doing stupid things or saying stupid things. I think this movie hits a real sweet spot where it's like everybody's very positive about their son being gay and they're setting him up and they're happy, but like they do make mistakes, but these mistakes are not like hostile, like
Right.
they're just the kind of mistakes that people make. And I love that it shows that you can have these errors, but like acknowledge that people are loving you and doing their best and like
Yeah.
show that love,
Yep.
like, and just, but it's also just like, and have humor about like the things that people have to deal with when they're not part of like, the majority group in a society. Like, cause we joke about these things. Like when people don't understand us, like I lived in another culture and like we would joke about misunderstandings about Western culture or Americans too, like,
Uh-huh.
like that we encountered. So yeah, it rang true to me.
Yep. Yep. You said it perfectly.
So about this setup, I wanted to ask you, and nobody's ever tried to set me up. I'm wondering if your parents or family have ever set you up on a blind date or interfered in your love life in some way.
A touch. Like my cousin and my aunt, like my mom knew better, but they were like, oh, it's kind of a Greek thing, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how about this? My cousin's mom was visiting. She spoke only Greek. I don't speak any Greek, but she's telling my mother, and my mom was like, I don't think so. But she's telling my mom, send her to Greece. I've got a boy for her over there. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. But, I think my cousin once, we were all going to go out and there was somebody's friend there and he, had the classic like shirt open and the big gold chain and like big watch or whatever. And my cousin's like, cute, huh? And I'm like, no. So, but the
Nice.
family, no. By and large, no.
And I had one other question, which is not the one on the page. One other question is, did you ever experience like pressure to like be in a relationship? Because my family did not give me that pressure either. So that aspect is not relatable to me. My family just didn't care. Did your family
No.
ever care? Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, again, like it would maybe be like extended Greek family that was like, get married and have babies, just like in Big Fat Greek Wedding. But
Mhm.
I mean, my God, like it was kind of, to some people it was a big deal that like my sister moved out and lived on her own and I went away to college. And so, but clearly our folks were like, yeah, go ahead, move out of here. And yeah, go to college, like, so no, my folks never.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I guess this is a thing that happens to some people, but it's never a trope that I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. You know?
Right.
Yeah. If anything, when I got married for the first time, because I'm been married twice, everyone was like, "Oh, aren't you too young?" Like I was 24 at the time, and they were probably right. But we had an amicable divorce, and no problems resulted from my first 2-year marriage. But like, yeah, my family was like, "I don't know. It seems like you're young for this." So opposite. Anyway.
Yeah. That's fun.
So
high five to us. We didn't have to deal with that. You know?
So then we meet the rest of the family, and they're pretty funny too. We've got the sister Lisa, who seems to be the oldest sister. She has 2 teenage daughters and a husband. Sister Ashley is marketing this farm on my face makeup, is what she calls it. It's organic makeup.
I love it.
Yeah. And she has 2 young sons and also a husband. We barely see these husbands. I didn't even bother to write their names down. So, yeah.
Right.
And then later, the entrance of Aunt Sandy, played by Jennifer Coolidge.
Fantastic.
And first we get her origin story. Kathy Najimy tells us, the daughter, Lisa thinks that she was in a Broadway production of Little Shop of Horrors playing Audrey, but Kathy Najimy's character reveals that she was in an off-Broadway production as the understudy for Audrey.
Fantastic.
But she does this big entrance when she comes in. She's singing Joy to the World from Whitney Houston. She's wearing a leopard print coat and a leopard print dress and a different leopard print. And she is just big, like big energy right there.
Yeah.
And apparently her thing is every year she does this Christmas pageant, which is another trope, having a Christmas pageant. But nobody wants to be involved in this Christmas pageant. We will find out why later.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And and then the family's informed that Peter's going to go on this date. Most people are excited about it, but his 2 nieces, Lisa's daughters, are talking to each other and think that he should be with Nick instead. So they're kind of like real life shippers, they've got a ship. They ship Peter and Nick together. That's what I think.
I had never heard that term before. I was like, does she mean, in the notes here? I'm like, does she mean strippers?
No,
they're real
no.
life shippers.
Maybe we talked about that in an episode you weren't on. Shippers is a term when you root for people to get together.
Okay.
Mostly in a story, but in this case they're rooting for real life people to get together and kind of conspiring to make it happen. Yeah. Oh, and then we get this other controversy where the mom has purchased a fake white Christmas tree. And it has these giant gold ornaments on it. And everyone hates the Christmas tree. But Aunt Sandy has taken 2 of the gold ornaments and put them in her ears as earrings.
It's fantastic.
And then Kathy Najimy's character snatches them away.
Yep.
Anyway, all the background stuff that goes on in this movie is hysterical. Even if I don't feel the chemistry between the main couple, every side thing that happens, I'm amused by.
Yep. I'm with you.
So we've got now Peter's on the day of his setup date. And setups are a whole rom-com trope in and of themselves. And this is a place where the setup seems to replace fake dating as what the movie's going to go with. So I like how Peter wakes up and doesn't really want to go, but Nick is kind of egging him on and tells him to don that gay apparel.
That was cute.
He's kind of ribbing him. And then the setup date. So the guy turns out to be James, the trainer at the gym, turns out to be super hot. Yeah. And like you said, I guess he's the king of Hallmark. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gets another slow motion entrance the same way that Tim got. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah. I noticed that right away. I noticed these ever since Can't Hardly Wait made that ridiculous one, the slow motion entrance. I always notice them now. And they go on this date at this cafe that's a Christmas themed cafe. Yeah. Another trope. These kinds of places always exist in these movies.
Yeah.
In real life, not as much.
Yeah. No, a Christmas ornament store.
Sure.
I guess. And even then I'm all year long, man? Really? Yeah. You got business all year long? So to have a whole cafe theme all year long, I don't know, weird.
Yeah, it's called Mrs. Claus's Cafe, and there's an actual woman dressed up like Mrs. Claus as well. Yeah. And then additional trope, they're drinking hot chocolate. So that gave me a Hallmark bingo mark.
Good.
Yeah. And this date, though, for me, there's more chemistry in this date scene than almost anywhere else in the movie. Peter was acting really awkward around this really hot guy and kind of dorky, but he's also kind of giggling and smiling. And the guy compliments him, maybe you are the funniest, cutest guy, right? Yeah. That's in the trailer too. And then he spits out his hot chocolate in this adorable way. But the guy's still cool with it, and they're just getting along with each other. And Peter's flirting back to James too.
Yeah.
And so for me, this date was too good for James not to be the guy.
Right. I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but then their ski date.
Yeah.
Could talk about that later, shall we? Or
yeah. We'll talk about maybe this scene. Did you already feel a chemistry between them though?
Yeah, like it was better, and then but it bothered me. I'm like, no, it's not supposed to be with this one. Wait,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was conflicting because you're rooting kind of for that relationship, but you're supposed to be rooting for the other one. Anyhow,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, like,
that's a bummer.
yeah, and we find out that the reason James is in this small town is that he's also a ski instructor in addition to being working at a gym. But he's sad about the lack of gay men, of eligible gay men in the area, and he says the gay dating app radius is kind of a joke. And I thought this was like a really good thing and a specific thing to put into this movie because like this is not a problem that like straight people have as much. Like there's usually a larger dating pool, so it's just a very nice specific thing to put in about like what kinds of problems or challenges you might experience in dating and as a gay man. So that was cool.
Yeah.
And then they get, on the end of the date, they get a new tree for Peter's house, a real green tree, which is another trope, getting a tree together, total trope. So even When Harry Met Sally has that in it. So,
you're right.
yeah. All right.
Well, because, right, it's cute. They're struggling with the tree together. You're doing teamwork and banter and all that. All of which was really great between Peter and James, too.
Yeah, it worked.
It's because the James actor is the Hallmark guy. He knows how to do it from all the other.
Yeah.
So while Peter's out on the date, Nick is at home with Peter's family and they're wrapping the Christmas presents, and Peter's sister is going on and on about like she can't stand this party wrapping thing that they have to do every year and pretend like they don't know what they're getting. Then she tries to get Nick to go to her mom and find out, she knows she's going to get one of her handmade signs, but to tell her not to give her one, just to give her cash, which is cute.
Yeah. And Peter's sister already seems like she might be like a little bit drunk here. I'm not sure, or she's just over everything. And then she wants Nick to also get more wine. And
yes,
this was a pretty funny part, I thought, for that actress.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought she did a really good job.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to put a little side note too about some of the novelty signs that Peter's mom makes. So, the one she's going to give to Peter it says "Bloom where you are planted," and that one actually seems pretty nice. I like that one.
Yes, I've heard.
But the one she's going to give to his sister Lisa is "Let's all take a moment and be thankful that spiders don't fly." And I'm like, that's a little too specific for me. But I don't know. I don't know where you're hanging that one. Or do you disagree? Do you like that one?
Yeah, no. What was that? What?
Well, you were laughing. I thought maybe you appreciated it. You're
just
like,
it's so weird. I'm like, what the hell? And yeah, you're gonna put that somewhere? I don't know. Where do you hang that?
And then if you're watching the movie, like if you watch really carefully and pause things, you can see all bunches of other signs in the background of the house. I love that it's very consistent with the production design. And one of them says, "Relax, we're all crazy. It's not a competition."
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, that's another. If you do another viewing of the film, I recommend pausing and checking out some of the other signs in the movie. So let's see. So Peter's left his date and he's bringing more wine home, and Nick is left to get the wine. So they run into each other in the liquor store, and there's like way more wine than I've ever seen anyone buy. Like, is that like, do other families like drink this much wine? I don't know, or is it supposed to be funny?
I think it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah. Okay, good. I was worried about them. I was like legit worried. And then Nick asked Peter how the date went in the store, and they kind of have like a little bit of an awkward conversation about it. I do feel like they're trying to seed in here that like Nick is interested in Peter.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like if I hadn't known that they were supposed to get together in the movie, from the trailer, that I wouldn't have noticed it. How do you feel about that?
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
I think that maybe perhaps is it the young actor still feeling out his acting chops?
Oh, I don't think it's Philemon Chambers' fault. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but like,
okay.
I feel like he, if anything, was doing more with it than Michael Urie in some places.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a controversial opinion, but
They just did not have chemistry. How about that? Because I like them in other spots.
That's also possible. Yeah, that's definitely
That's it.
possible. Yeah, I feel like I blame in some ways the direction too. Like, okay, we'll start getting into it. In some ways, I blame the direction. I think sometimes the shots that were chosen are not very intimate in some cases. Like
yes.
not like more close-ups might have been better. I don't know. But
Okay.
yeah. But here they're literally blocked from each other by having their shopping carts like sort of facing each other too. So they're kind of kept at a distance deliberately. But yeah. Anyway, it's not as important as this scene as it is in later scenes when you really need the chemistry to work.
Right.
So back at the ranch, Peter comes home with a tree, and when the mom finds out, he kind of distracts her from being upset about it by telling her the good news about the date. The date went well, and she's distracted enough, and everyone's happy. But Peter's dad kind of pulls Nick aside. I don't even remember what they're supposed to be doing together, but while he pulls Nick aside, he says to Nick that he thought Nick and Peter should end up together. And Nick's like, oh, but he's my best friend. And then Peter's dad says, well, my wife is my best friend in the whole world. And I thought that was like really sweet. I liked that.
The whole thing was sweet. It looks to me like, so they're setting up the tree and raving about the date. And the way it felt to me was that the dad saw the disappointment in Nick and called him over to like kind of help him out of that situation, because they're in the garage and they're gonna like fix something or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, how sweet is that? I always thought you two should be together. The whole thing is just, yeah. And then to say that my wife is my best friend in the whole world, it's such a beautiful, sweet scene.
Yeah. And then
love that dad.
Yeah. And then after that conversation, like right when he's saying that they should be together, Lisa's children, the teenage daughters, pop in and say they agree that they also think that Nick should be with Peter. They've been obviously like eavesdropping and so forth. So we have the beginning of the family conspiring to like get Nick and Peter together instead.
You know something, you asked if I've been set up. Anybody set me up or whatever? No, but I feel like I've had that conversation where friends have been like, we think you guys should be, you and that guy that you were talking to, or your friend that you were flirting with should be together. I'm like, great, go tell him that. You know what I mean? Like, stop telling me. Like, I agree, or maybe not, but like, yeah, tell him that.
I'm such the aggressive one with dating that like. No, I can't be friends with someone really long enough for like this to happen usually.
That's hilarious.
I'm just like, yeah, like I would have already done something before anybody would be like, oh yeah, you should. Well, that's not entirely true. I guess my first boyfriend, Trike, like there was somebody at the theater who said we had good chemistry before I noticed it. So it did happen once. Okay, so where were we in the actual plot? Oh, okay.
Later on in the ski date with James.
Okay, so yeah, like, and then we find out something about Peter's origin, Peter and Nick's origin story when Peter's on a ski date with James, like a second date. We find out that Nick and Peter met each other while they were both signing up for a gym in LA, and they faked being a couple so they could get a discounted rate at a gym. So like their origin story is fake dating.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And back at home, while Peter's on this date, Nick is reading Saving Emmett to one of the little nephews. Yeah. And I thought that was adorable, like really nice. Also, you get to see a little bit of the book, which seems like a really good book that should be made probably.
Yeah, for sure.
While this is happening, the nieces take a picture of Nick and the little boy together reading, and then they send it to Peter on his date. And he's like, kind of looks at it and he kind of feels like, oh, I kind of want to be with my family at home. And it's this family beginning to conspire again with the friends to lovers trope and trying to set them up. So you and your husband were actually friends first. So you don't have to tell much about this if you don't want to, but I'm kind of curious like about when and how did you like kind of realize that you should be together romantically instead of like as friends? And like, how long did that take? And who realized it first? Like, we don't have time for like the whole
time. This is
we don't have time for like the whole story. But like just I'm curious about like, did it take a long time? And like, what kind of thing made you realize that?
Yes, it did take a long time. We were friends for a long time. I was living in Brooklyn. He was living in the Twin Cities. We were talking on the phone one night, and I don't know what, but I went like, like caught my breath. Like this is all in my head, but it was like, and I was like, oh man, Greg has a lot of characteristics I've been praying about in a man. And then I went, shit. And I was like, why, God? Why, Greg? What? This is stupid. And so this is all happening in my head. But I was like, oh my gosh. And I hadn't seen him in a couple years. Like I had moved and we're, a year apart. So I was already out of college and then moved away. And he is in graduate. So he's in seminary now. And it was really like, that's how it was for me. And so my mind changed about him. And then
and just in an instant like that, kind of,
yeah.
Wow.
That it dawned on me. I'm like, oh. But like I said, the timing was just so strange, and like it just never seemed like could ever be possible. I'm like this, and he was dating somebody else, and he had different plans for his life, and I had my plans for my life, and the paths weren't gonna cross. But then plans changed and his plans changed, and then our paths did cross, and then he was living in the city and in New York City, and we hung out a few times, and all the while my feelings were growing, but I still wasn't going to say anything. And then he was going to leave the city again, and he did for like a second, but he said what made him think, we hung out one evening. We were at my apartment. We were having dinner and talking and yada, yada. And the next day I texted and said, hey, I'd love to continue talking. That was the moment where he thought maybe there's something there, because apparently I had never reached out to like hang out before. He had always reached out, which is probably true. I'm a terrible planner, or like, initiating hanging out or whatever. And then he left the city for 5 days, but even the second day he was gone, where he's like, I need to talk to you. And then I was like, he loves me. He loves me. And yeah, he was like, what do you think? And I'm like, good idea. Come back. And he did. And then like, that's it. That was it. And then we were like agreeing to be married a couple weeks later.
Was it like awkward at all when you first like made transition between being friends to dating, or was it like seamless?
It was a little awkward. I had never had a relationship before. I hardly dated. He had a couple relationships. And it was awkward. Like, the first night we kissed, I was like, whoa. I was like wired all night long. I was like, could not sleep. I was so excited about this, relationship happening. And then things like, we were hanging out all the time. I'm like, wait a minute, how do I hang out with you all the time? I have other things to do. And I'm like, what do I do here? Like I've got, my job and just other things. And okay, all right. See you later. And then whatever, I just wanted to be with him all the time. And and then like say we wanted to get married. I love you want to get married, but we had never had a fight, and like that didn't happen until like a few months later after we were, already engaged and blah, blah, blah. So anyhow, lots of interesting things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the first night, like kind of cuddling and looking at pictures together. And I was like, whoa, he's got his arm around me. This is funny, And for like, it was like 5 seconds and then I was totally fine. So
yeah. Cool. Well, that's sweet. Yeah.
That was very bridged. It still felt long. Anyway.
No, it's sweet. I like it.
Thanks.
I'm glad that like, if nothing else, this movie can bring out this story. Yeah.
Thanks. 16 years later, friends, still married, going strong.
And wait, how many years were your friends again before you got together? I forget.
That's a fine question. I don't know. 6, 8.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's like a Nick and Peter amount. So there you go.
Yeah.
But you weren't roommates or anything like they were. So
no, we weren't roomies, but we were in college together. And spent a lot of time. We were friends in college. So anyhow. Yep.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thanks.
So now we're getting to the Christmas pageant, which having a Christmas pageant in one of these movies is a huge trope. Okay. And usually it feels like really awkward and shoehorned into me, but like they really make it central to this character of Aunt Sandy and her like whole theater dreams / delusion. So that's why I think it fits in nicely. Although, how is anybody letting this woman run a Christmas pageant? Who is sending their kids to work with her?
I don't know. It's fantastic, and you know, it's Mary, and the way she says, you know, Mary,
Yeah,
you will be with child. Mary. Oh my God, I laugh so hard.
Like her acting when she demonstrates what to do or when she's performing herself, she's over the top. She like, there's this one point where she said, you should act like you're scared. And the girl's like, well, maybe you could show me. And she does this like scream that I'm not going to repeat here because you drive off the road if you're listening to our podcast, really loud. And then also she's yelling at these kids and being kind of like almost like abusive. She's like the camp counselor in Wet Hot American Summer who's yelling at the kids, but like, not in a movie that's like absurd like that, you know?
Yeah. I thought that part was hilarious. Like, you know, at work with children, I don't yell at them that way, but in my insides, I'm like, man, I feel this one.
It's just like,
okay, deep breath.
You were supposed to be off book. You're not off book. Now none of you has lines. Like,
it was hilarious.
Oh
so
God.
Funny.
Anyway, she's like a crazy director. But it's great. And she also has called the play Jesus H. Christ. That's like the actual name of the play. You see it later. It's up on a banner when they show the pageant. And like, this actually made me, okay, this is a total weird non sequitur, but, well, it's not a non sequitur, but it's a random thing. I had to actually look up why people say Jesus H. Christ. And I guess it's because the way they used to abbreviate Jesus in the Greek alphabet kind of looks like a J, H, and a C.
Okay.
So people who are accustomed to like Latin, reading Latin, mistook that for, you know, that Jesus had a middle name or something.
Okay.
And then it kind of came to be used irreverently or as an expletive or whatever. And this was like as early as like when Mark Twain was writing, this was a thing. So
okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I have in the show notes, there's an article about it if you want to read more. So yeah.
I like that. Well, hey, that's kind of funny. I, as a young child, was like, did he have a last name? I was in like some summer Bible camp or whatever. And I'm like, here's my burning question. What was his last name? Did Jesus have a last name? Isn't that was my, I wanted to know.
Mean, kids want to know these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was H. Henry? I don't know.
Yeah. No, it just wasn't a thing. So yeah.
That's funny.
And then let's see. So this Christmas pageant is also brought into the main story because the family gets the idea that like, why don't we have Peter and Nick help Aunt Sandy with her like disastrous Christmas pageant, and they'll be able to help her fix it because like Peter has experience with like, you know, directing sets, and like Nick has experience with building things, and so they come in. I would have liked to see more of how they actually fixed it because this is all shown in like a montage.
Right.
Instead, like set to Whitney Houston's Joy to the World, which Aunt Sandy was talking about before. And like, I mean, it's fine montage, but like, really, I don't know how you would have saved Aunt Sandy's show, to be honest.
Did it need saving? It was such a glorious piece of theater.
I mean, yeah, I needed some saving, I think. Okay, so we're going to now get into the spoilers okay section so we can really talk about whatever now. Is that cool?
Absolutely.
Any spoilers you've been dying to shout out or the whole time or no?
I don't know if we mentioned it before, but I guess it comes to the end and the kiss, and like, because I think the kiss between James and Peter at the ski lodge.
We haven't talked about that kiss yet. Yeah, go ahead. Talk about that kiss.
Hot. It is so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, James they're kind of like off by the side, and James like takes the waist of his ski pants and pulls them close, and they have this freaking hot kiss. It was hot.
Yeah. They made the kiss too hot and too effective. And here's another thing. So this is why, like, I'm partly blaming the direction for the why I don't feel chemistry, and I'm partly blaming Michael Urie. And this is why. In that scene, after he gets kissed in that scene, Michael Urie gets kissed. You see him give the body language to James where he looks at his eyes, then he looks at his mouth, and then he looks at his eyes again. That is actually a body language sign that somebody wants you to kiss them. Like, it's something that if you read articles like, is somebody attracted to me? That's one of the things. He never, as far as I could tell, did that to Philemon Chambers in their scenes, but he does it to this actor after he's been kissed. Like, maybe even the actor himself was like feeling that or something. Like, I don't know, but like, if he was, he should have hit it a little better, because like, come on now. He made that scene hotter. Like, they both did. And then the ones later. And that sucks.
Yeah.
Because, I want to root for the couple I'm supposed to root for.
Yeah. You're going to give me an ending. Make it that way. You know, yes. Give me the... Earn it. Earn that ending.
Sigh. Anyway. I mean, throughout all these dates, I will say that the writing is always having Peter talk about Nick in all these dates. So he's always talking about Nick even while he's with James. And that, I think, was good and could have been effective to like make their chemistry work. But like something about either the way it's shot, the way it's played, or maybe these are just two actors that don't have it together. I don't know. Yeah. It's frustrating. Okay, but they do have some chemistry in this next scene we're going to talk about, which is this photo shoot. So Peter's work texts him and like tells him that like, oh, we're not going to go with these Instagram models that we were like filming in the first scene of the movie. Now we want to get real people, which Peter explains still means models, and we need these pictures like now. Okay. And Peter's dad says, well, why don't you shoot Nick, like take pictures of Nick, which is like kind of obvious, I think. And they do this photo shoot in this like wintry woods where like Nick is like chopping wood and like holding logs. Like you do. You sit there and you hold a log.
Right.
And then there's these cute scenes, and then like Nick like takes pictures of Peter as well. And then there's this one moment where Peter says, I want you to like on the count of 3 breathe out some air so I can see your breath like in the picture. And that moment between them where he's just looking into like Nick's eyes and taking that picture, there was some heat there. There was some tension. I felt some chemistry. And did you feel the chemistry in that moment, or like am I
a little bit? Yeah.
I do think that was a promising moment. And then that, of course, is interrupted by Peter getting a text from James to go on another date. And they have a very awkward conversation where like Nick is encouraging him to go, but Peter doesn't really want to go. But you get this feeling that Nick's encouraging him because he, doesn't think there could be anything between them. And
yeah.
Anyway, I liked that photo shoot scene, even though it uses this trope that really annoys Lee, which is like in movies when people are photographers, it's always so easy.
100%. The lighting's awesome. No weird shadows.
Yeah, you just get these perfect pictures. You just have to point and shoot. No big deal. I think that's why there's so many people try to become photographers, because movies have made it look too easy.
Oh my gosh. Yes. It's not that easy.
Yeah. So let's see. Peter ends up going on this third date with James. And there's kind of a thing where the older sister, they're at her bar, and she tries to ruin this.
Right. So what happens? They go to her bar. It's her place, right? Isn't her and her husband's place?
Yeah.
Lisa's Crisis.
I didn't notice that. That's what the bar is called, you said? You found out?
Yes. She's wearing a shirt that says it, and she answers the phone, Lisa's Crisis. And I thought that was brilliant. And it's her kids or people from the house telling her to like do something because Peter's there with James.
Yeah.
So they're all in on it to like break up this date.
But I didn't think it really worked, that scene.
It didn't. It was silly.
Yeah, she just comes in and she spills food on James and James blames it on Peter and says he's always so selfish. And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Right.
James didn't really seem to lose any interest in him. And that's also kind of mean.
Yeah, all of a sudden she's trying to paint Peter as really bad. And
yeah. And then, like, after they're at the bar, Peter ends up taking some pictures of James for the shaving cream ad outside in the dark, which Lee also pointed out is ridiculous because now you have even worse lighting conditions.
100%. Yes, and, Lee.
They have this contrast moment, though, where, like, he has James do the same thing where he breathes the breath out. And you notice that, like, he doesn't feel... He kind of looks disappointed. Like, he doesn't feel that kind of tension with James, that kind of sexual energy.
Uh-huh.
And James, part of it is James isn't looking intense or anything. He just smiles. And James asks him to go up to his apartment. And at first he's kind of like, sure. But then he's like, no, I'm going to spend time with my family. And they do kind of a good job of like turning the chemistry off there. But like the chemistry was so good in the first part that it was still hard for me to accept. I was like, no, go up to his apartment. Like, please. I shouldn't be rooting for him to go up to James's apartment movie.
Right. Yeah.
Did you root for that, or were you like, did the shut off of the chemistry work?
Well, it's like you're like after that whole, debacle at the bar, like they're leaving. It looks like they're about to part ways, but now they're going to do this photo shoot, another fun, intimate kind of thing, right? Where there's more opportunity for all this chemistry and blah, blah, blah. And then do you want to come up and not, like, I felt like obviously they needed his photos for the photo shoot, but it was like, it went out too long. I felt like it should have ended. And yeah, because there was this element of like, oh, now they have more time to be together. Oh, what's going to happen here? Yeah.
Well, I think they needed that extra part because there was that like contrast with the breath.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for that contrast with the breath, in fact, I wouldn't have bought that they didn't have chemistry. Like, I wouldn't, but like, I don't know. So at home, Peter gets home and he sees that the girls have fallen asleep in his bed, which we know they've done on purpose. So he goes up to bunk with Nick to sleep in Nick's bed. Like, first of all, he might have just gone to the couch. There's no guarantee he would have gone to sleep with Nick, in my opinion.
Yep.
I mean, he'd probably be perfectly comfortable sleeping on the couch at his own house. But it works. He goes up to sleep in the bed with Nick. But then I feel like this scene was totally underutilized. Like, this is like the trope of tropes in these like friends to lovers or fake datings, like where you force people to sleep in the same bed together. Like everything on like Archive of Our Own is like they were forced to sleep in the same bed together. And it's just so blah in the end.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's because it's an overhead shot and you don't really get like look them like close-ups of their face looking at each other. What do you think? Like,
I mean, all he does, he climbs in the bed. The girls were sleeping in my bed. Of course they were. And then like, yeah, then they roll on their backs and they're looking up and there's trying to look like there's tension or something. And then it ends. I'm like, no sweet music overhead. No, I don't know.
Yeah. They
giggles,
don't even.
No pillow talk. Come on. Pillow talk, man. Like that's.
And they don't even do the thing where they wake up next morning, which all these movies do, where somebody's got their arm around each other. Freaking Planes, Trains, and Automobiles did that, for God's sake.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're already using the trope.
Yeah.
Go the whole nine with it then,
Embrace the trope. Love the trope. So that I can blame the writer for, unless the director changed it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really,
Did they
you got
cut stuff? Was there
I don't know.
more?
And
I don't know.
There needed to be more. There needed to be something more. Yeah. I don't know. Because, like, have they shared a bed before? We don't know. Maybe they have.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It should have been accidental touching something. Anyway.
Right.
All right.
I totally agree.
So we've got a few more scenes, like really quick scenes before the pageant. One that I thought was funny was the teenage girls have designed new costumes for the pageant so that they can look sexier. And Peter comes in and sees them and goes, ho, ho, ho.
Right. That was cute. And I like the mom being like, no.
Yeah.
I felt her. That was cute.
They are not good costumes. Yeah.
They're not. And I like the way that then Peter goes to his other sister and says, can we get your farm?
Farm on my face.
Farm on my face makeup. And then she's like, hashtag, put it on Instagram and all.
Yeah. Hashtag farm on my face.
That was cute.
Yeah. And around this time is also,
they get Peter to admit his feelings for Nick.
But
when does that happen?
Did they already get Nick to admit his feelings for Peter? Oh yeah, the girls had already gotten Nick to admit his feelings for Peter when he was doing a TaskRabbit job by stealing his ladder while he's doing lights. And they made him like admit that he liked Peter.
Yeah.
And so now they're going to Peter and getting him to admit that he has feelings for Nick too.
Right.
So yeah, the girls are the little busy matchmaker bees of this movie.
Yep. Yes, and it's in this scene where they do a dance sequence.
Yeah.
To Britney Spears's "My Only Wish This Year."
Yeah,
Um,
which has this line, Santa, can you hear me? And I'd never heard this song before. Have you heard this song?
no, I didn't know who it was. I'm like, should I know who this is?
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
could tell it was Britney and like
okay.
and like and I thought it was cute that they had this like dance choreography thing together. I
Yeah.
thought that was really fun.
Yes, like with their gunkle and his nieces doing a dance routine together. Yes, that was very cute. But this is where then Nick comes up
Hmm.
and sees them being all super cute, and one of the nieces says to him he feels the same way.
Yeah.
So now he's got the information.
Yeah, and we've got the little boys are dancing then too. Everybody's dancing together in that
So
scene.
cute.
Yeah. I like that. Okay, now we come to the pageant. And one thing to note about the pageant, so before the pageant, Aunt Sandy does this whole like pep talk, and apparently she in the movie it says this too, that she has done the monologue from Truth or Dare that Madonna gives to her dancers before a show, which was so fun. I thought
It
that
was
little
great.
bit. And apparently, Chad Hodge, like this is inspired by his own sort of attachment to the movie Truth or Dare. So this is a quote that he had about it. He said that the out gay men in that movie had a big impression on him when he was young. He said, "quote They were just these cool gay guys who were being fierce and fun and not embarrassed or closeted. I loved Madonna and Madonna loved them, so it made me feel like it was okay seeing these gay men in this really positive, normal way." End quote. I thought that was really sweet and a nice tribute. And I've definitely heard about, that Truth or Dare being influential to other gay men, like when I've read or talked to people. Yeah.
Well, it's underway now, and
The pageant.
the
Yeah.
pageant, yes. And James is at the pageant watching, but Peter and Nick are off to the side watching, from the sidelines, like the church, the hall kitchen or whatever they're in, and they have their arms around each other. They're very snuggly and close. And
Poor
so
James.
James sees it, but James has already even said, it sounds like you guys have a special thing going on. Like, I think
Yeah.
James knows what's up, and yet
He's a nice guy. Yeah.
he is a nice guy. That's why he's he makes all the films. And then after the pageant, Nick reveals his feelings. But Peter's afraid of what might happen to their friendship, and then James interrupts it and all that. And how'd you feel
not
about
intentionally.
that scene?
James doesn't interrupt it
No.
intentionally. Yeah.
Right. It's just like, hey, let's go grab drinks. And how did you feel about the reveal?
See, I thought that Philemon Chambers played it really well, but like Michael Urie, like you can definitely see his discomfort, and I can I guess that's what the character is at that point. He's just afraid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got this fear, but like it kind of took away from the momentum a little bit for me. I know they always do this in these movies, that there always has to be this last challenge or whatever. So
Right.
I guess whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we go to the bar. They're going to go to the bar to celebrate the pageant. And then this guy is singing this Christmas song. And you find out that his name is Kevin and he's the snowplow guy. Yep. But every year he makes a Christmas song to sing at this bar. And snowplows is a notary and an animal psychic. And Peter says his brand's all over the place.
But I love it. He's the snowplow guy, and he works all year long to write a new song for Christmas and sing it at the bar. That's his thing. And I was like,
that's such a small town thing. That's such like a good we have these characters in small towns like this. So
well, there's another part where after one of the rehearsals where Aunt Sandy gets a cab home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, for a small town, do you have a cab? And then she goes, thanks, Cheryl, or whatever. She thanks the cab lady.
Yeah.
And I was like, remember the cab lady in our small town?
I don't, but I never took a cab. But I know that there was like one person. Yeah.
So there's this one woman, and that was like her thing. Her car didn't say cab or anything, but like you had her number, and she'd come and take the old folks around, and everybody that made me think of that again. The one.
Yeah.
Person who does that.
I also like that the he uses this thing, his brand's all over the place, on just this like small town guy who's not thinking about his brand. It's just a funny contrast,
Yeah.
Like
his brand's all over the place.
Okay, and then at the bar party, Aunt Sandy comes over to Peter's mom, and she's like, they just told me that the show is so good, I should take it on the road, like I should take it on tour.
Right.
And she like believes this hype. She like has in her mind that she's going to take these small children and take their Christmas pageant on a tour. I love that moment.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. And then I love that she goes and hits on James. She's going to go pick him up and they're like, wrong team. Wrong
Yeah,
team.
yeah. Kathy Najimy comes over. She's like cutting it off. Like, nope, nope.
It's cute.
Okay, so now we're coming into the resolution of the plot. And so Nick gets this TaskRabbit gig where he's painting an old hardware store. As soon as I saw the for rent sign, I'm like, oh, he's going to rent this hardware store so that like Peter can open his plant store. I knew that immediately. Did you know this immediately?
I think I might have like turned my head or like someone was trying to talk to me during that moment. I missed it. So
You would have known though. You would have known.
Yeah.
Because this is like
Yeah.
totally the thing that happens.
Yeah.
But Nick though has already bought like some kind of like plane ticket maybe, or at least a hotel reservation near the plane airport. I don't know. But he's still gonna rent this like freaking place for Peter, even though he thinks that they're done, basically, which is kind of sweet, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It shows the value of their friendship. But Peter finds Nick before he can get away, finds out that he's rented the store for him and everything. And then Peter says he's in love with Nick too. And they kiss. And we both have already revealed that this kiss doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
So it's too fast for one thing. Like, it's the whole thing where like Nick's talking and then Peter just rushes at him really fast and
Yeah.
kind of mushes his face at him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fast-
Like their bodies just
Yeah.
slammed together. I'm like, ow, that looks like it hurt. Like they're
Like fast
It wa-
can be sexy, but it's not sexy here.
it wasn't sexy here. No.
Yeah. And then like the kiss just doesn't seem very enthusiastic to me. And
Yeah.
like, and then they start talking about they're going to open the plant store, like in the middle of kissing. There is no looking at the mouth and looking at the eye and like all that thing that I was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just felt like,
Yeah.
especially Michael Urie felt awkward to me in that scene.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you agree?
Yes. I mean, I was watching it and I was kind of cringing. I'm like, this isn't
Yeah.
working for him. I'm like, this is an awkward scene.
You don't want that to happen. You do not want that to be the case. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
your big romantic moment. And I really feel like Philemon Chambers was working for me. Like his body language, his voice got really sexy. Like I felt like he was playing it really well, personally.
Okay. I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah,
But
I watched
yes,
it several times to evaluate what wasn't working for me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like just kept trying to figure it out. I'm like, what would I have done as a director in this situation? I might not have cast those two together, but
right.
yeah,
I know. Tough. That's the whole thing I've been thinking. I'm like, how did they get cast together?
Like I'm thinking what probably would happen is Michael Urie is a big name, right? So he was in
Okay.
first probably, and then
Okay.
Philemon Chambers is like really good, and like, well, he's so good, like we got to get him,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
it just somehow
Huh.
didn't work. Like that's my
Yeah.
theory,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Gotta be it.
I mean, it could be something else, or maybe there were better takes that they didn't use. I don't fucking know.
I don't
But,
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Also, you know what else? Okay, I don't want to like make cast too many aspersions, but Michael Mayer's more of a theater director than he is like a film director. I mean, he
Mhm.
has directed films, but his work that's been better recognized has been in theater. You have such different you have to have such different body language between movies and theater. Like the
Mhm.
rushing fast at someone to kiss them would probably work better on a stage, I wonder.
I don't know.
Huh.
But that's a good theory.
You
Like-
need to do a lot of close-up stuff, like with faces, facial expressions, and things like that. Micro movements in a movie.
Yeah.
We got to keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm getting too in
yeah.
the weeds. Anything else you want to say about the kiss or anything like that? Or
Well, I don't know. There's just some other points about like where they could have had better chemistry. We talked about the bed scene. I thought about the scene where Nick comes out of the bathroom with a towel around his waist.
yeah, he looked hot.
He looked hot, but then like he goes back and Peter makes a face. And I'm like, was he supposed to be checking him out and feeling awkward about that? Or was he like grossed out that he was there?
It's bad that you can't tell.
partly naked? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
ooh, bad over there.
Okay, and and then
okay,
the
go
other
ahead.
thing, Nick never gets a slow-mo scene. Tim gets a slow-mo scene. James gets a slow-mo scene. If they had just given Nick a slow-mo scene, like where maybe Peter sees him come into a room and all of a sudden you can tell
It's
that he
in
feels differently
slow-mo.
because there's a slow-mo scene. That would have even worked, I think, maybe. At least intellectually I would have been signaled like, oh,
Okay.
this is your big come in moment where I
Yeah.
realized that I like this guy.
Or is it like those two were like this, I don't know, what he thought he wanted.
Sure.
And then here you have the real thing.
I guess, but it's like in movies that the slow-mo thing is often used to reveal the person really wants. So it's like hard. Like movie language is telling me that's the
Right.
person.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Either.
Like on an unconscious level, maybe.
Yeah.
Alas. So after this unsatisfying kiss scene, we go to unwrap presents with the family, which is another trope. This scene was much more satisfying because like Nick and Peter totally work as like family units or something, like, right? Like they fit in, like Nick fits in with the family, which is important in a relationship, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, that is super important. And Nick ends up giving the kids a notebook in which he has written the sequel to Saving Emmett, Emmett at the Christmas Hotel. And he says in the story, the ending is Nick and Peter are going to bring Emmett to New Hampshire and live there together. And then he reveals that they really are going to bring Emmett to New Hampshire and live there together. And they're together. And everyone's super happy. And there's another somewhat awkward kiss.
Yeah.
Which is interrupted by everybody cheering.
Yeah. But I love the cheering. It's so sweet.
Yeah. You love the family story in this, for sure. Like, I think we both did. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, I love their friendship, and I love both of those characters separately, although I love Nick a little more, but that's me.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Just the chemistry was off. So then we finally have an ending scene where Kevin the snowplow guy is singing another Christmas song. He's written 2 this year, folks. Or maybe it's one of his last year's song called Single All the Way, like the movie.
Yep.
And Aunt Sandy comes up and dances with him to the song.
Okay, fun fact. Are we ready for a fun fact?
Yeah.
Kevin, the snowplow guy, and Kathy and Jimmy are married in real life.
Wait, what?
Yeah, IMDb, man.
Dude.
Isn't that awesome? He rocks. He's an actor in his own right and does things, and he's funny and sings and whatnot. But I thought he was so rocking.
Yeah.
I loved him so much.
Yeah. I agree. That's awesome. That's an awesome factoid. Thank you for that.
Yep. My pleasure.
Okay, so we have a couple like just really quick questions we're going to do at the end of the movie. I'm going to probably ask this to our Twitter followers too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. What item from this movie would you most want to receive as a Christmas present? So these are your options. You can get a Farm on My Face makeup gift set, #Farm on My Face. You could have a copy of the children's book, Saving Emmett. Or you can get one of Christmas Carol's handmade signs. Which one would you choose?
Saving Emmett, the book.
Yeah.
What about you?
Why would you choose it? Why would you choose it?
It was actually a real hard toss up between saving or a consideration, I guess, between the children's book or the handmade sign of Carol. But to be honest, I think that I would like always keep the book. And I love books. Books are everywhere in our house. Children's books, absolutely. And where like the sign might be cute for a little while, but then I could see myself being like, where the hell am I going to, I don't want this anymore, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I would also take the children's book. And here's the thing. When I finished watching this movie, I was like, I wonder if they really made this into a children's book, because I was like, that would be such a great tie-in. And as far as I can tell, they have not, but they really should. I think they could sell the fuck out of that book, like for real. Yeah. Like, I think it'd be the kind of cute thing that people would like to read, even if it is just like this story from this movie. I think people would still like it.
Yeah.
So make the book, people. Agree. Make the book and the sequel. And make the sequel to the movie, too. Even if I didn't buy their chemistry, I would still watch the sequel to this movie.
We should have a great theory for
yeah, well, sequel. They're not going to make my idea. But would you watch, like, a sequel to this movie, do you think? Like,
I don't know. I mean, if we bring back Jennifer Coolidge and Kathy and Jimmy, like, for the extended family, I would. Yeah. And, man, those two would have to amp it up, the leads on their love story.
Okay, so I think we already went over well, if you want to put the random observation that you had, we didn't do that one yet.
Oh, well, I loved Lisa's Crisis. And my favorite, if you didn't notice, Peter is at the gym waiting to meet James and for his mom to get done with the workout with him or whatever. And he's looking for stuff on his phone, maybe work related, I don't know. And he goes, flames, flames on the side of my face. And that is a direct quote from the movie Clue. The Mrs. White character played by Madeline Kahn. I think that's even an improvised line in the film. And she goes, flames on the side of my face. And I about peed my pants. So
Lee noticed that too, but I'm not a big enough Clue fan to have picked that up. But
I'm a
cool.
diehard Clue fan. So that rocked my world.
Nice. Okay, so that must have been one of your favorite bits from the movie. What are some other favorite things from the movie moments?
Oh, what did we? Oh, well, the anything with Aunt Sandy and the pageant, and just the mom and dad scenes. Like I talked about the dad with Nick and being like, I think you two should be together, and just like their lovingness. So, what about you? And
Yes,
Snowplow Guy.
Pretty much the same. I love anything with Aunt Sandy, especially her directing job. I love, also the Snowplow Guy. But I also liked Peter's first date with James, where they're drinking the hot chocolate. Their chemistry there. I love the Britney dance number, and I love Nick reading the book to the little nephew. I thought that was so sweet, and when your partner gets along with your family and is really sweet with them, it's always so special.
Yep.
And then favorite characters.
Aunt Sandy. I'm just going to leave it there. Everybody else
Aunt
comes
Sandy.
after.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, I would say Aunt Sandy and the mom character, and then Snowplow Guy, and then Nick and Emmett. I would love to have seen more of the dog. If there is a sequel, I hope there's a lot more dog in it.
Oh, yeah.
There can always be more dog.
I need more dog. Like I need more cowbell.
So I guess you mentioned my sequel idea. So I have this idea for what would happen in the sequel. They are never going to make this because people who ship Peter and Nick together would hate this. But this is how I would do the sequel. Okay, you ready for it?
Yep.
Single all the way too. So we see our couple a year later. Peter and Nick are still together in New Hampshire, but they've been hanging out with James a lot because James has come back from LA. He tried to be an influencer. He didn't really like it. He found out he likes New Hampshire. So Peter, James, and Nick hang out a lot together because, they're the only gay guys in the town, really. But Nick is starting to worry that Peter and James might have a little more chemistry than they initially thought, and they might have been a better match after all. Nick and Peter are not married yet or anything, but they are living together, but Nick's just a little concerned. And the family then conspires to set James up with this hot new professor of literature who's at a neighboring college town. Okay, the family's like, well, Nick's worried we're going to bring in this other guy, distract James, it'll all be fine. But what ends up happening instead is that the hot new professor guy ends up having tons of chemistry with Nick. They all go on a double date together or something. And then the literature professor and Nick are all, really sparks are flying. And so at the end of this movie, Peter and Nick end up breaking up amicably. Peter ends up with James after all, and Nick ends up with this hot new professor guy, and they live in Bridgewater happily ever after in their separate couples. The end. So if you, like me and Sophia, thought that Nick and Peter did not have the chemistry necessary, this might be the sequel for you. It will never get made, but it's my headcanon for now until they make a sequel.
So you don't think they end up together then? Stay together?
In the universe that this movie has built, they stay together. In the one that they have told me, in the one that they have shown me, they do not end up together. And I was trying to think of a way that you could make a sequel where they wouldn't end up together, but it wouldn't be sad. You know what I mean? Because I don't want them to be sad. I want them to both get something good out of this, right? Anyway, that's me.
I think it's wonderful.
Would you watch my sequel?
Sure. I'd watch your sequel.
Anyway, I would watch their sequel too. So I'm in it if they put another one of these out next year, even though I'm sure they would not do anything resembling my plot. So, yep. Okay, so anything more to say about the movie before we do double feature recommendations?
No.
So for my double feature recommendations, I'm recommending first another Chad Hodge rom-com, which I mentioned earlier. I Want to Marry Ryan Banks / The Reality of Love. I can't remember where I watched that, but I think it's available streaming, even possibly free somewhere. I'm pretty sure I got it even for free. And I recommend this because it's like a well-written rom-com. There is solid chemistry in this one. And I hadn't seen a rom-com before that used a reality show as the backdrop, but it's such a natural backdrop for a rom-com. So I thought that was pretty cool. And just Bradley Cooper is really good in this movie. I want to say like Jason Priestley is also in this movie from 90210. Yeah, so I think it's just you get to see some interesting actors and pretty well done. It's not like, high production values, but that's okay. I enjoyed it. So Chad Hodge wrote that too. The second double feature recommendation is another gay Christmas rom-com. Now that I've read about these other ones, I'm kind of thinking they might be better ones, but like this one is called The Christmas Setup, and it is very like cheesy and tropey. And it's you only watch it if you like that kind of cheesy tropey thing. But it's got Fran Drescher from The Nanny is the mom in this one. Probably the most famous person in the movie. And I did like the chemistry between the two guys in this movie, but like the story itself was kind of absurd. And they're pretending to be in Milwaukee, but it looks nothing like Milwaukee, which bums me out.
Totally.
Yeah. But it was fun enough. It was an enjoyable enough movie to watch. And it would be a nice Christmas atmosphere to watch with Single All the Way. And then finally, I'm going to do a double recommend of 2 friends to lovers rom-coms, Some Kind of Wonderful or When Harry Met Sally. Now, When Harry Met Sally has an obvious advantage of being at Christmas time, also for part of the movie. However, the chemistry is so good in When Harry Met Sally that you might feel disappointed when you watch Single All the Way. I think the chemistry in Some Kind of Wonderful is good too, but like When Harry Met Sally is such a classic that like anything put with it for me is like gonna suffer in comparison, except maybe something like Moonstruck, something like absolutely fantastic.
I see.
Anyway.
I'm not a big When Harry Met Sally fan. I know.
Oof.
So I would totally watch Some Kind of Wonderful over that.
All right. Yeah, well, either of them are friends to lovers rom-coms that you could watch with another friends to lovers rom-com. Yeah. So how about you, Soph? What are your double features?
Okay, so to keeping it in the vein of like Christmas rom-com, I put Happiest Season, which we talked about earlier. That's on Hulu with Kristen Stewart as the lead, and then a fabulous ensemble cast. And then I put, The Spirit of Christmas, that you can see on Prime. It's a Christmas ghost story, a Christmas love ghost story. And it's good. Is it the greatest in this genre? No, again, I saw it a couple years ago and I'm ready to see it again this year. Like
maybe I'll watch it. Yeah.
I'd go for it. It was, as they say, harmless. And I was pleasantly surprised, I would say, I guess, because of how the genre is so, all of the tropes and, the bingo board and the whole night. So to watch it and be like, oh, okay. So that's The Spirit of Christmas. Okay, the next one is The Holiday in the Wild with Rob Lowe and Kristen. I forgot her last name from Sex and the City.
Yeah, I forgot her last name too, but Charlotte in Sex and the City, basically.
Yes. Because it takes you to a different country, and there's this whole like they're on a elephant like haven farm in Africa, and that was fun and cool and different. And that is a personal passion of Kristen's, is she really does this thing. And so I like that for a personal element. And
it's also on Netflix too, so you could easily, if you have Netflix, you can watch them back to back easily. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming back for this one, Sophia.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
And then in the new year, we're hoping to produce some really good shows. Hopefully we'll finally get around to the Gen X rom-coms. And and maybe some musicals, I'm thinking, and much, much more. So yeah, be sure to check us out, everyromcom.com, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcast. And thanks for listening.
Bye. See you later.
Bye. Merry Christmas.